You're listening to Frank Talks, Pleasures and Lifestyles, and I'm Frank because I have to be. In studio today with Major Mark Cunningham. How you doing there, Mark?
I'm doing pretty well.
All right. In the last interview segment, we were talking about some of the work that you do, your transformation work, rather than be a seduction instructor who's trying to create clones of himself. You're actually helping the men involved change or unchange certain parts of themselves to become more attractive men overall.
That's right.
Can you tell me a little bit about your transformation work and some of the products that you have?
Okay, yeah. Of interest to the seduction community is something, I developed this approach when I was working with one of the greats in the seduction community, Ross Jeffries. Ross was kind enough to invite me out to appear on his seminars for over about a six and a half year span. We had a lot of fun working together. Our approaches are different, which is probably why we had so much fun working together. And I learned from talking to thousands and thousands of these seminar attendees that their struggle was not so much with understanding technique, memorizing lines, figuring out approaches, learning where to go, what to wear, things like that, but rather they were continually struggling with the problem of they kept bringing their old self into new scenarios and expecting that just by mouthing words or using some kind of technique that they were going to get good results. And of course, that's not what occurs. So I did go off and I developed my own seduction seminar, which I only gave a couple of times because my whole philosophy is get it straight, deliver it, get it on tape, and then go off and do something more interesting with my life. So we did this class called Beyond Seduction, which was the distilled essence of my techniques. It's a conditioning seminar on how do you change yourself to become the kind of guy that women find naturally seductive. Because I have the lazy man's approach to seduction. I think I ought to be able to walk into any kind of setting, look around, and not only be attractive to a broad cross-section of women, but to be able to spot the ones that who are attracted to me and be able to concentrate at them and kind of pick the low-hanging fruit. We do have a separate track, of course, which is my mainstream hypnosis track, where we have classes like the Introduction to Hypnosis class. It's a set of conditioning exercises that you can do every day to ensure that you go ahead, you clear out your emotional deadwood, you remove the trauma or limitations or self-sabotage that came out of your past. You get focused on what you actually want to do, the belief systems that will work for you, and then we show you how that you can go through a process where you ensure that you stay on course every day and not only get the goals that you can dream up now, but turn into the kind of person who has an ever-increasing, ever-improving set of goals.
Of all the products that you have, if somebody wanted to start today and say, Mark, I don't know where I should start between your products and all the other products out there, what would you recommend as a great starting place?
Well, people look at all the products I have available and go, oh my God, how am I supposed to pick something even within your own product line? We have this thing called Hypnotic Awakenings, which is a relatively brief CD set. I think it's 3 CDs. And what it does is it's a presentation on how to identify the imprints that you got through no fault of your own. All the well-meaning people who gave you advice or direction along your life ended up filling your head full of crap. I show you how to identify all these imprints, how to break those imprints so that you can not only free yourself from that self-sabotage, but also take all that energy that's freed up and start to apply it through a 6-step process where you can go ahead and get your life stable in order. Because Frank, no one makes serious change in their life until you're at a relatively stable moment. I mean, I get these heart-rending calls where people say, oh my God, I'm down to like my last $10 and I'm living out of my car with 1 package of ramen noodles. What can you tell me to help me? And I tell them, find a place to live, get a job, get your life relatively stable so you can start doing serious work on yourself. The work you do on yourself will pay off every day for the rest of your life. And so I steer people towards these entry-level conditioning exercises so you get stable, you get wide awake, you figure out what it is you really want to do, and then you go out and get it.
So before somebody should be studying hypnosis or self-improvement, they should be taking care of their basic needs. Is that what I'm getting here?
Pretty much, and one of the basic needs you have is to identify the things that are holding you back, identify the people, the situations that are holding you back, learn how to overcome those, get rid of your self-limiting beliefs, and then out of all the things that you can imagine, I mean, like one of the exercises I teach is how to know when you're bullshitting yourself about your goals. And there's a very simple, verifiable technique to know when you're just fantasizing or when you're thinking about something that your subconscious will actually help you get.
Now let's go to the idea of bettering yourself through hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that, and I'm going to be asking this as a novice here, are we talking about self-inductions, putting yourself into trance? Does the change work actually happen while in trance? Is it an instantaneous change that occurs? What's the best method to use hypnosis for change?
It definitely involves trance work. All trance means is a state of unnatural fascination. So you make the thing that you are thinking about so compelling and so clean. That is, you don't build in distractions, you don't build in self-limitations. You just build a very powerful, resource-rich experience, and then you allow yourself to have that experience. That's what we call trance work. And by rehearsing change in trance work, well, two things occur. So one is you blow past all your previous self-limitations, but the second thing is you can experiment in an error-free environment. So you can go ahead and try out alternate paths. Let the movie run. Find out just how it comes out, this way, that way. How do you feel about that? And while you do that, see, the thing is, change is as difficult as you want to make it. If you believe change, it takes a long time and it's extraordinarily difficult, well, that is the hypnosis that you're working on yourself. And by golly, that's exactly how the change will occur. If you believe that you can walk away from your past as easily as you might set down a suitcase and walk away from that, well, then you can experience very powerful, very profound change, and it happens in an instant.
One last question before we go to our next commercial break, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that hypnosis cannot solve or actually fix?
Organic physical problems. Like there was a client out in California who was one of the last polio patients, and he wanted me to help him become a championship runner. Can't do that. And hypnosis probably should not be used on diagnosable mental illness, both for practicality's sake and because of the legal challenges.
Thank you, Mark. We're going to be going to commercial. When we come back, more with Major Mark Cunningham here on Frank Talks, Pleasures and Lifestyles.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by Everything Out of Her Mouth is a Test, a man's guide to the emotional needs of women. Ladies, does your man squash your inner vixen? When you ask him to repeat what you have just said to him, does he look at you like a deer caught in the headlights? Does he think that leaving the game on while you talk to him is a good idea? Is his favorite phrase, "Yes, dear, you are absolutely right"? Does wife or girlfriend mean boring and dull to him? Ladies, don't you wish that he knows what you mean when you ask him if you look fat? Then you need to buy him the book, Everything Out of Her Mouth is a Test, a man's guide to the emotional needs of women. On sale now at franktalks.com. Frank Talks is sponsored in part by From Loser to Seducer by Frank B. Kermit. Ladies, is there a man in your life that got dumped for being clingy, needy, or was told he was a loser, but you still think he's a nice guy and want to help him? He could be a relative or even a friend, and you know he needs the help. Do you want to be the one to give him the gift that will change his life forever? How about the gift of a great biography? Buy him the book, From Loser to Seducer by Frank B. Kermit. It is the story of a nice guy who triumphs over his inner demons to find his own hidden power. Help the nice guy in your life discover his inner seducer to find his soulmate. Buy this book now at franktalks.com.